Sandalwood, the spicatum type, which is supporting indigenous communities in Australia.
We use roughly about 600 to 700 kilos of sandalwood oil a year.
The sandalwood tree is a sort of semi-parasitic tree. It needs the root systems of other trees around it to survive. They're called the host trees. It kind of feeds off of those. As the sandalwood grows, they start to die off. So it's kind of a nasty tree in that point of view. But yeah, that's why it's kind of so special.
We visited Keith Skeggy, who's an indigenous harvester of sandalwood. He's based in the bush about an hour away from. He's a man of few words, but he really knows what he's doing. They have this amazing machine. It's got pincers on the front. So they just drive to the tree, they clamp the tree, and they basically shake it and get it out of the ground. By doing it that way, he also manages to get as much of the roots as possible.
The sandalwood tree itself has oil, but the root system does as well. So you'll see the guys coming in after he's ripped the actual tree out of the ground and picking up any sort of roots as well, because that's still got a nice oil content to it. We use sandalwood in a lot of different products actually. It's always been one of our sort of favourite staple essential oils because it's great antibacterial and antimicrobial oil to use, but it's also really lovely for me. Part of the pleasure of using it is the scent, and it's a really good fixative. So a fixative is something that helps keep perfume on the skin, helps it warm and develop more naturally on the skin, and means that you don't lose the perfume within the first hour or so. It was actually quite a staple industry, and there were people out in the forest cutting it down everywhere, and it became endangered. And government now enforce a quota system, so you have to be very heavily regulated. When the trees got back to the sort of the main camp, Keith had this large, what they called a tumbler. It's a huge, like, washing machine vessel.
All the trees are put in that tumbler, and they keep the tumbler going for about an hour.
And it had some slits around the edges, and they were slightly sort of perforated, so that basically as the tumbler sort of rolled round, it started to strip the wood of its bark.
So you end up with beautiful hardwood logs of sandalwood, which are then graded. So you'll have the root wood, you'll have the trunk wood, and then you'll have all the little branches. All that is graded, and it's sent away to where the processing is done.
Was able to take us out and show us kind of around the homeland. It was on an Aboriginal reserve, so without his permission you weren't allowed to go onto the land, so we're very, very fortunate to go there.
The guys that we were with, they were taking us around, and Victor was pointing out different things. So he pointed out some bush tomatoes, and so we gave that a go. They tasted disgusting, and then knowledgeable Victor's like giggling away because they're not ready to eat.
Those bush tomatoes are bloody horrible. They are edible, but just not at that time of year. It's like eating a green blackberry or something, do you know what I mean? It was just like, yeah. He also showed us, unfortunately,
they need to get permission from one agency, from another agency, through the government, and while they're busy trying to get those permissions, people are coming onto the land and poaching.
Does it make you angry if people come steal the trees?
So in the first lieutenant is called, eh?
Yeah. In conjunction with the community, Mount Romance and TFS were trying to get some licenses so that they could harvest the remaining roots and branches and get some money for. So when Keith and everybody send their sandalwood away, it goes to a factory in Mount Romance, just outside Albany, which is.
People always ask me, how do I know this is a root and not a small green log? Because of all of these little things that we have on there. And these are actually what's attached to the host tree, is sucking out the life out of them. The parasitic part of it, the nasty part of the sandalwood, you know.
Basically they get that chipped, which then they feed into the distillation vessel and it injects steam through it, and the steam then takes the oil and water out and it condenses into a clear sort of receptacle. There you'll see it separate out, so the oil slowly passes through the water and separates out, and you get a nice clean line of water and oil.
I was really impressed by the pioneering attitude they had. They're trying to produce sandalwood, yet they're learning about how to make a biomass boiler function to the needs that they've got, and actually putting their own engineers on the job and getting software built specifically, or looking at how to purify the water they're using, employing someone to build a water purifier for them. It feels quite similar to how we work sometimes in Lush.
This is our cellar where we actually keep in all the oils, or the finished product oil. It is actually certified organic. You'll also see that some of the vessels is actually indigenous certified as well.
With every kilo of sandalwood oil that we buy, we contribute 50, actually also contributes a whole number of people in the community.